Good morning, students. How are you all? Today we will discuss about chapter number 5, and that is air and atmosphere. In this chapter we will study these topics, and that are air and its property, atmosphere, composition of air, uses of components of air, how is oxygen replaced in atmosphere, and rusting of iron and air pollution. Then let's we start the chapter by the first topic, air around us. We know that air is a mixture of many gases. We cannot see or smell air, but we can feel it, and air is everywhere around us. Even those containers and vessels which appears to be empty to us, actually they are not empty, they are filled with air, and all living things required air. For which purpose air is required? Air is required for the respiration in all living beings. Okay, in all things required air. Air is inside the human body as well as inside the bodies of all other animals and birds also. This is because air is necessary for breathing of all living things. No living thing can survive without air, and air is present everywhere. It is present in water ponds, lakes, rivers, and oceans. In which form? In dissolved form. It is present in water in dissolved form. Okay, and in atmosphere air is found in gaseous form. Okay, now though we cannot see the air, but we can feel its presence. When it starts moving or blowing, we can feel the air when it starts the moving, and that is called the blowing. The question is, what is wind? The moving air is called wind. Moving air is called wind. Then moving air makes the cloths hanging on a clothesline sway. That means it helps in the drying of cloths, and high speed winds can even uproot trees and blow off the tin roof of houses and factories. That means fast moving air is more powerful. It can uproot the trees also. Okay, now the second topic is properties of air. The topic is properties of air. Which properties are there in air? So air is transparent at first. Transparent means in air we can see from one side to another side, so we can see through it. The important properties of air are: air has mass, it is colorless, tasteless, and odorless gaseous substance. Air occupies space, air dissolves in water, air can be compressed. These are the properties of air. Now let's do it. There is an experiment, and the aim of this experiment is to demonstrate that air occupies space. Then how will you prove that air occupies space? For this, these materials are required, and this procedure you will follow. Then you will find that when this glass is straight inverted, then air will not enter in it, but in this class, here in this case, when this glass is tilted, then air bubbles go out and water enters into the bottle. It proves that there is air inside the bottle that occupies space and does not allow water to enter in the bottle. Okay, now next topic is atmosphere. What is atmosphere? We know that our earth is surrounded by a layer of air. The envelope of air that surrounds the earth is called atmosphere. What is atmosphere? The envelope of air that surrounds the earth is called atmosphere. Okay, the atmosphere, that means layer of air, extend up to many kilometers high. Okay, the atmosphere of layer extends up to many kilometers above the surface of earth. Atmosphere is essential for life on earth. Why atmosphere is essential for life on earth? Because this atmosphere contains various type of gases which are required for us. That's why atmosphere is essential for the life on earth. Okay, this also provides us oxygen which we use for the breathing. The oxygen we use for the breathing. Okay, now higher up the atmosphere, when you will go higher and higher in the atmosphere, then the amount of air will be decreases, that become less and less. The air in the top of very high mountains is so thin. At the top of mountains, air is in very less quantity, so we cannot find there enough oxygen for the breathe. Okay, so there we will find the problem for breathing. That's why the climbers who climb on the high mountains, they use oxygen cylinders. For which purpose? For the breathing. Okay, then a question is that why air is a matter? Why air is called a matter? So it has the nature of matter. What is the nature of matter? A matter occupies space, it has weight, same as air occupies space, it has weight, it covers the space. That's why it is called a matter. Okay, now next, what is the composition of air? That which things made the air? So air is a mixture of many gases. That means only oxygen is not present there. Many gases are there in air. The major component of air is nitrogen. It means maximum quantity of nitrogen is present in the atmosphere. Thereafter second major component is oxygen. So what is the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere? That is 78%. And the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere, that is 21%. Okay, so the major component of air, second major component, which is oxygen, it is about 1/5 of air. Okay, now we will discuss about the nitrogen. The nitrogen is a colorless, tasteless and odorless gas. Nitrogen is colorless, tasteless and odorless gas. Nitrogen gas present in air is important for living things. This nitrogen is also important for the living things like the oxygen. It is also very important. All the living things need nitrogen compounds for their growth. That means nitrogen compounds helps for the growth of living being. The plants use nitrogen gas of the air to make proteins. It means with the help of nitrogen gas, protein is formed, and these proteins are used by the plants for their own growth. These proteins are used by which? Used by plants. That means nitrogen is used for the synthesis of proteins, and it is necessary in human beings, in other animals, and in plants also. Okay, here is the chart. The graph is here. Percentage of nitrogen, of oxygen and other gases is shown here. Okay, now oxygen gas is essential for breathing. You know it? Oxygen is very essential for the breathing. Why? When a person breathes in air, it is actually the oxygen present in the air which is utilized in the process of respiration. The question is, which gas is used in respiration? So in respiration, oxygen gas is used. So we can also say that oxygen is necessary for breathing. Okay? Under ordinary condition, we use the air around us for breathing, but under special conditions, in special situations, oxygen gas cylinders are used for breathing. Okay? When you climb on the mountains, then what will you use for the oxygen? That will oxygen cylinder. Okay, the patient suffering from disease like asthma, actually in asthma patients are unable to find the complete supply of oxygen. That's why they use the oxygen cylinders. Okay, now at high altitude of mountains, the air is very thin, so the air at high altitudes contains very little amount of oxygen, due to which it becomes difficult to breathe properly. I had already told you about this. The mountaineers, a question is arises that the mountaineers use the oxygen gas cylinders. Why? At the higher altitude. So your answer will be that since at the higher altitude there is less quantity of oxygen is found, that's why mountaineers use the oxygen cylinders. Okay? Now, when the drivers go deep in sea, whenever you will go deep in sea, they also carry the oxygen gas cylinders with them. Why? For the fulfill the requirement of oxygen in breathing. Okay? Okay, then see here in this picture, it is shown here. There is a asthma patient. He is using oxygen gas cylinder for the breathing. Here a mountaineer use oxygen gas cylinder. A driver, sea driver use oxygen gas cylinder. For what purpose? For the fulfill of oxygen requirement. Okay, now another parts of this chapter we will discuss in our new session. Thank you. That's all.